Hey there, just practicing my Negan swing, if you know what I mean. Yeah, Armor Combat League. Definitely a stress reliever. Definitely some fun stuff. Yeah, it's a sport. A lot of people enjoy it, Get to dress up in full medieval armor and fight other people. If that sounds cool to you, well, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Um, there's actually three main organizations that do a lot of the fighting. You have SCA, Society of Creative Anachronism. You have Armor Combat League, ACL, and then you have HEMA, which is Historical European Medieval Arts, I think, or Martial Arts, I think. One or the other. But I myself particularly are in SCA and Armor Combat League. Now, with SCA, I would recommend them as a first step. If you're wanting to get into a lot of, some metal on metal, some swords, some long swords, and all sorts of more medieval fun, well, yeah, Armor Combat League will definitely, hopefully, be for you. It is expensive, very expensive, but like I said, SCA is going to be a great first step. Now, Society of Creative Anachronism is worldwide. There's, I don't know how many regions there are in the United States alone, but the one I'm particularly in is the far west, which is pretty much the west coast, Alaska, and foreign islands overseas, Korea, Japan. Um, but they're worldwide, and they're easy to get a hold of, and they have some great support. They're great first step. Um, their fighting is a lot more uniformed, a lot more chivalristic, if that's a word. They're a lot more noblest sort of style. So instead of, again, that punching, drop kicking, grappling as Armor Combat League has, they're a lot more, I take a hit, oh, good hit, me lord, I take a knee. That's a little bit more professional looking. Definitely what they're fighting. But like I said, they're a great first step. But before you even get into the fighting, first thing I recommend is getting a soft kit. And you're probably asking, what's a soft kit? Well, a soft kit would be like something like this. Just get a shirt, a tunic. This is a tunic. Some leather pouch. I got a leather belt around here somewhere. Actually, got several of them, including some coins apparently. And some period correct shoes, of course. And SCA spans a huge variety of time, from the Roman Empire, I think, into the turn right up into the year 1700. A huge span of time, and it's always good to be in the SCA. They allows a lot of your personal customization, but not to an extreme fantasy like LARPing degree. And I don't like to use the word LARP, especially these organizations, because this is real steel, real, in the SCA case, rattan wood. I'll get to that in a minute. And, it's a lot more hardcore than a lightning, bolt, fireball sort of action type of thing. This is a lot more intense. But like I said, back to the point. Get a soft kit first. Test the water. See how things are going. A lot of the regions in both SCA and a lot of the chapters in ACL, because it's chapters in ACL. Geez, I'm starting to mix them up. They have a lot of support, a lot of help. They have people there to help direct you and say, hey, here's a set of loner armor. We're going to, you can test the water, see how things are, see if this is something you do like. But the people there are generally fantastic. They definitely will help you point to some support, armorers, custom makers, all sorts of stuff. Which websites to buy from, which not to. But SCA and ACL do have standard regulations. ACL more than SCA. SCA is a little bit over the place. In the far west, there are things that are a little bit more stricter in their rules for armor. Over, let's say, the East Coast or the South. So you do have to look up the rules that your marshals, the people that watch the fight and make sure everybody's being safe to a degree, are going over. those are the people you want to ask, hey, is this okay? Hey, is this not okay? Can I do this? Can I not do that? Um, what can be done? What can't be? What should be? What shouldn't be? Type of thing. So those are the people you do want to ask, of course, for armor standards and fighting standards and whatnot. Continuing on from SCA, they use, like I said, rattan wood, which actually got a piece right here. They use a rattan. It's actually a bamboo sort of thing. It's a stringy bamboo, so even if it does break, it's going to sort of like be almost like melting plastic. It's going to bend. It won't snap off and form a sharp point. But yeah, this is normal wood. But yeah, this is what you're going to be fighting with. You know, some wood. Whereas Armor Combat League, you're going to be using metal. So, rightfully so, SCA doesn't have as strict regulations as Armor Combat League, and thus there's my years of experience are going to boil down, if anything you take in this video, it's going to boil down to this one point. Like I said, you get a soft kit first, test the waters, try out some loaner gear, see how things are, see if this is your cup of tea, and if you get your foot in the door and you like what you're seeing, oh, you're going to be hooked. But like I said, I've spent, I don't know, thousands of dollars in armor so far, and I could have saved probably half of that at the point I am now. And the main point I want to get across to anybody who's watching this video is this little bit in this video right now. If you're getting the SCA and you want to, continue on to ACL, some more hardcore stuff, and like I said, I recommend you go with SCA first. Armor-wise, look at the standards of SCA and look at the standards of ACL. You'll see ACL is a lot higher than SCA, and there might be one or two minor issues, but that Armor Combat League armor will be safe in SCA. And I encourage you, if you're buying armor, to get the heftier, thicker, stronger armor, because it'll do two things for you. One, you only have to buy one suit. I've bought multiple, and I could have saved quite a bit of money. But look at one suit, talk to some armorers, buy one suit, because that heftier suit will be able to be used in SCA. And if you continue to want to go on to Armor Combat League, you can use it there too. You don't have to buy a whole nother kit. That's the big thing to take away from that. You save a lot of money, and you can use it both in SCA and Armor Combat League. The other point is, you'll be a lot safer in SCA if you're using Armor Combat League standard. You do have to condition yourself to what would be an average normal blow to you feel like a blow on your chest and you're wearing the heftier armor. Well, that blow to that chest would, really put somebody down on the ground if it's a normal person, but you're wearing that heftier armor. You'll take him like, oh, that was nothing. Here we go. Continue on fighting. You do have to recognize, okay, that was a good enough hit for a standard, normal, good enough hit. And so you'll have to take that. But yeah, you just have to condition yourself for that. I have a friend who has some back issues, and he uses the heftier armor in SCA, because if he was to be using lighter armor, he's going to get jostled around and really actually doesn't do too good with his back and some of his arthritis issues. But not to get into much of that, but to be more safer and to save you a lot of money, go with the Armor Combat League standard of armor and use it in SCA. Now, the two differences between SCA, I'll get to HEMA. HEMA is its own cup of tea off to the side. But looking at SCA and ACL, SCA is a lot more uniform, a lot more professional in the sense. You see two people fighting. You can thrust. In Armor Combat League, you cannot thrust. But in SCA, you can thrust. And, you take a hit, get hit in the chest. Oh, that was a good hit, me lord. You take a knee. You're done. Easy peasy. Armor Combat League. When you're on the ground, that's when you're out. You get people drop kicking, you get people punching, you get people grappling. Hence why you see a lot of people using axes. They grapple around you and they toss you around. They do the side shuffle, swing you back and forth, and when you're wearing all that armor, they stick their foot in and trip you down. That's usually how it goes. But Armor Combat League's a lot more intensive, a lot more stress relieving, and has a lot more standards. As I said, with SCA, they have a huge variety of time you can pick from different regions. And you do want, you can do customizations both in SCA and ACL, but in ACL, they do want you to strict down to 1300s, 1400s, maybe even early 1500s armor, but you have to be uniformed. You can't be wearing an English piece of armor with a Southern Italian piece of armor. If that wasn't common at the time. They do want more historical context, even down to the shoes. Heck, I was trying to use some normal shoes with some armor over them. Technically, I can't do that in Armor Combat League. I need some period correct shoes with period correct armor over my feet. So there's that also to consider, and they're a lot more. It's a lot more intensive, but it's a lot more fun. You gotta give a little to take a little type of thing, especially with those rules. But overall, with fighting, you're going to, when you're getting into it, you're going to lose a lot. There's no going to be, I'm going to learn this in 3 weeks, could be good at it. There might be a guy out there that actually might be like that, but most often, you got to take it slow. And there's, like I said, in both organizations, SCA and ACL, there's people there that will help you. They're in SCA, they're called the hospitalers or hospitalers. And they will be there to welcome you. They'll be there to help point you in the right direction. And then you got the marshals as well, and experienced fighters. They have a whole night class in SCA that will, they're awarded for helping out, doing things, helping the organization. How do they help the organization? They help people that are trying to get into it like you. With Armor Combat League, you have to get into chapters. You get a hold of your local chapter and say, hey, I see you guys doing this. When's your next event? And you do that with SCATL, and you go from there. And you're going to find a lot of support, a lot of love in these organizations. With HEMA, like I said, is its own cup of tea. They more focus on not actually fight over winning. They focus more on, they do have fights, I know, but they focus more on medieval actual martial arts. In SCA and Armor Combat League, you'll see a lot of things that maybe they didn't do back in the day. Maybe there might have been a guy who did it, but they don't do it. Whereas in HEMA, they're like, in this manuscript, this is how this fighting style is. Or in this manuscript, this is how this is. And they will try to use different techniques that are historically correct. And I'm all about being historical correct. I'll have all sorts of more videos on history. I'll have videos also on airsoft, which I think might be my next one. If you see that PPSH in the corner there. But historicalness is a big factor in HEMA, even more so than Armored Combat League. But like I said, these are some great organizations, some great people, and if you're getting into it, to reiterate what I said, take your time, because if you rush, if you're trying to get in, you really want to get in and fight, be prepared to spend 2 to 3 times as more money than what you actually needed to spend. Take your time. Get a soft kit, because a soft kit you can always use, and get padding, some Gamerson padding. You can always use more Gamerson padding. Don't forget to clean it, because it gets all sweaty and moldy. Mine just came over my washer and dryer, but take your time, go slow at it, see what armors are out there, and always ask questions. Like I said, there's going to be support there to help you guys out, to help anybody out. But, Armored Combat League and SCA, definitely some cool stuff. But, there might be one last question. What type of, you said I know I said I had, SCA has wars and stuff and tournaments and stuff like that. But what about Armored Combat League? Well, Armored Combat League, you'll see a lot of the same people in Armored Combat League in groups like Buhurt and IMFC and the Battle of the Nations. Battle of the Nations is a huge event. By all means, please Google and YouTube those videos, as long as the Penzic videos. But Battle of the Nations is some really fun, hardcore stuff. And if you're over in Europe and you get over to it, please, it's going to be an enjoyment. Even if you're just there spectating or you're trying to get into it, that's something to always build to. And that being said, you usually get three types of people in these three organizations. You get those that are looking for historical context, which is me. I got a bachelor's in history right now. I'll be continuing on to a master's. And I'm always looking at historical context. I wrote my thesis on gunpowder in the medieval ages, particularly 1380 to 1480. You get those that are looking for something fun, just a competitive sport. And again, those that are always looking to relieve some stress. And, well, I do enjoy relieving some stress. But as I'm eyeballing the axe, call me Negan. But, yeah. It's SCA, Armor Combat League, and HEMA. Pretty much wrapped in a nutshell. Like I said, take your time, get a soft kit, and just enjoy. There's always going to be somebody better out there in fighting. There's always going to be more opportunities, and the support for those groups are phenomenal. Anyway, I think that wraps up the video on those three organizations. I'll have some more content, if I can speak, content videos out, particularly on some helmets and some body armor. All this armor that I'll be having, I'll reiterate this also in that video, the armor that I have is going to be historically correct, and it's also going to be allowed for Armor Combat League, as most of my content will be, if I do fighting content, it's going to be focused towards Armor Combat League. But other than that, I will catch you guys out. Yeah, nice thing here. Right across some people. I'll catch y'all on the flip side.